Welcome to DFS Insights, where the game behind the game comes to life. I am David Geislinger, and alongside me is David Grant Jr., my cousin and co-strategist. The teams up on the block are the New York Knicks at the Sacramento Kings.
Yes, sir. I'm very excited about this since you and I will be going to the game. This is where you and I are going to be giving everybody out there our three key players to focus on while creating your lineups. David and I are going to give you a quick breakdown of what we like about the three main plays. And make sure to stay tuned until the end, where we're going to give out two completely free lineups for you.
Yeah, so if you are eager to go ahead and see basically the end game first, those two free lineups are going to be in the timestamp below under the lineup timestamp. But if you want to craft a winning strategy with depth, stick around. We're about to deep dive into our key players and game insights that can help you not just build the one lineup, but multiple lineups. So whether you're here for that quick win or the full game plan, we got you covered. And just wanted to show. In our previous video, we did show that we took first place on the Kings-Lakers game, and then David over here hit first place again in our next stream with the Dallas OKC. So it was a little chalky lineup, but I'm sure he's still happy about win, and that's back-to-back wins here at DFS Insights. So while those free lineups are great to get, stick around because the insight does pay off, and they'll help you build potentially that first place lineup here. So David, I'll let you go over your victory, and then we can get into the game here.
Nice, yeah. I tied with 28 people out of the 5,200. That's going to happen sometimes. Hey, I'm all about taking first place. So, it was the optimal lineup. So you know what? It's all good. I have no problem sharing with a couple other people. I just like taking first place. And as you mentioned, we do these deep dives and focusing on these single games. And, that's pretty much, our specialty. So, things are starting to pay off. It's a good feeling. So.
Yeah, nice.
Definitely, excited about going to this game tomorrow.
Oh, yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, that's why we typically try to do about 3 or 4 videos. We were planning to do 3 videos this week. However, with the Kings now being, that 10K to first there, and we're going to the game, we thought we'd give a bonus video here. So with that being said, let's get into it. New York Knicks coming to town, our town, Sacramento, going against the Kings here. The Knicks are currently ranked 4th in the East, last 10, 5-5, and on a 2-game win streak. Kings are 6th in the West. They're 6-4 in their last 10, 2-game win streak. They both are basically same records. I believe, the Knicks actually have 1 extra win, same losses, but in the East, obviously they're 4th. Kings, however, are favored in this by 3 points. And the over-under is sitting at about a 220.5, which is typically low for a Kings game. And then that has to do with basically the pace of the Knicks is a little bit lower than normal. So the Knicks have a 116.6 offensive rating and a 112.2 rating. And a 96.28 pace, so that's where they are a lot lower in the league at a slower pace. Kings 117 offensive rating, 116 defensive rating, and they're at 100.2, which is up there among the best or the fastest playing teams. So with that, obviously I think they'll probably even out. Kings will probably bring the Knicks up a bit, but I think the Knicks will also probably slow the Kings down just a little bit. Their defensive rating is on the lower side of average, or I guess I should say the better side of average. They're better defensive lead than the average NBA team. So with that, I'm expecting a good matchup. Obviously, would have loved to see Knicks at their full potential with the injuries here. Julius Randle's out. Mitchell Robertson is out. However, they've been out for quite some time, so right now the rotations, that's not really affected Big one for the Knicks here to keep an eye on. OG Anunoby. He is a game time decision. He just had elbow surgery, I believe. Don't know the exact date. However, he did get quite a bit of minutes the last 2 games he played. I believe sitting at about mid 20s and then a low 30s minutes. So I'm going under the assumption that he is playing, as he just played 2 days ago, 33 minutes. So I think he's going to play 35 minutes against Portland on the 14th. So Kings. Big ones to really look out for really is Kevin Huerter, game time decision. And then Trey Lyles is going to be out for the next few weeks, so he will not be in the rotation. That's guaranteed. And then also Sasha, but he has been out, so he's not really effective. Kevin Huerter, I'm going under the impression that he's playing. However, I think I'm going to lean more towards that he might be coming off the bench. Keon Ellis has been doing very well the 2 games that he has started for Kevin Huerter. And we all know that when Kevin Huerter gets into a slump, Mike Brown has absolutely zero issue with having him come off the bench until he gets his groove back. So that's how I perceive it. If you want to dive into that before we get into our key players, to kind of let the audience know where you're coming from.
I agree. If anything, I wouldn't be shocked to see Kevin Huerter get an extra day off because of the injury, because Ellis is looking and playing so well. It's almost like we don't need a rush for Huerter to come back, since he's been slumping and Ellis has been looking really good. So I wouldn't be shocked if he didn't play. And as you just mentioned, if he does suit up, I also wouldn't be surprised to see Ellis still get some minutes. So that's the standpoint I'm going to be coming from for sure.
All right, nice. So with that, let's get over here to our 3 key players. And so I'll let you go ahead and go first.
All right, yeah. So my first pick here is from the Kings, Mr. Domantas Sabonis.
Nice.
I know he is the most expensive guy here on the slate at $16K, but nonetheless, he has basically been averaging a triple-double just about. I know he has 1 million double-doubles this year, and he's just been he just looks like he's in a groove lately. Over the past, I'd say 5-6 games, 6, almost 7. I mean, he's averaging, mid 50 fantasy points. And even though, if it's going to be a down-paced game for the Kings, the offense is going to be running through him. If there's a little bit more half-court offense going on, I could see him getting a little bit more usage than usual. And so there's just not anyone else on the slate that I feel is as consistent as him, really, besides De'Aaron Fox. But I mean, really, as far as this game goes, Sabonis, he's $16K for a reason, and I'll be putting him obviously mainly at MVP. I will put him in the star a little bit just to fade some of the ownership as an ownership play. Typically I do 5 to 10 lineups a night. Since you and I are going to the game, I'll be going a little bit heavier. I'll be doing about 30 lineups or so, and hand making all of them. So I'll be having Sabonis in, I'll be probably over the field. I'll be around, 70%, 70, 80, probably 80% Sabonis, in between MVP and Pro. So that's my first pick. What are your thoughts, and who you got here for your first pick?
Yeah, no, I'm going to second that. Going over here to, he is my first pick as well. It's crazy. Last 5 games, 37.5 minutes. Usage is at, kind of, above 20, which I like to see, 21.2. He's averaging 60.2 fantasy points in the last 5 games.
5 games.
He's projected only 51. I think, like you mentioned, that's because of probably a slower paced game. However, I don't know if the NBA has it out for, they always had it out for the Kings, and he's not even in the MVP,
yeah.
race. He's averaging literally since the beginning of the year a double, and he's up there in triple doubles, which is insane. He broke, I think, was Oscar Robertson, I believe, the guy. He's and it's like 60. He's averaging 60 raw fantasy points. So I mean, it's at a 16K, and so I don't know if Fanduel is on the hate on the Kings Sabonis train, but like I've seen players worse than him at 17.5.
Yeah,
well,
for sure.
Worse than him in a fantasy, consistent fantasy. So I'm not arguing 16K definitely helps my lineup construction compared to a 17.5. So I'm not, but I'm just confused on why he's not more. But that's why I like him. Obviously his salary's great. We've covered 4 Kings games. Wish we could obviously cover more since I've been keeping track of ownership wise. He ranges anywhere in the MVP slot from about 28% to 60%, and then star is 17 to 26%, and then pro is anywhere from 4 to 7%. He averages about 41% in MVP, 22 in star, and 5 in pro. That's the average. So yeah, he's actually been the optimal out of those 4 games 3 times, and at the MVP slot. And then he wasn't in the optimal lineup that 4th game. But yeah, no, there's no doubt in my mind I'm pretty sure he'll be in the optimal, barring any kind of setback or foul trouble or something that he's not hasn't been doing basically these last games. So if consistency's a thing, he definitely's done it, and I can't really say too much about it. So. I'm going to be, doing quite a bit of lineups. Like you said, it's, a little bit more than normal since we're going. So, yeah, I definitely have him in probably the bulk of those lineups.
Nice. Right on. Who do you got here for your second play?
Second play, I'm going, so as I mentioned before, I'm going with the impression that Mr. OG Anunoby is playing. And yeah, since he's moved over from the Raptors over here to the Knicks, he's settled in quite nicely. Now, typically I like to do the previous 5 games. However, he was injured and out. He's only played the last 2, so this graphic basically shows the last 2 games average. Minutes 32.2. His usage is at 19.3. He's averaging 25.8, and he's right now projected roughly about 30.1. Kings have been pretty soft in the shooting guards forward defensive wise, giving up 48 to just recently to LeBron James, 51 to Giannis, about 28 to Shokin from the Spurs. Then James again, 56.5, 43 to DeRozan. So that's why I like him in anywhere from the star pro and utility. At 10K, you can definitely find that ownership value up in the star position. He does have the potential to get that, especially Kings. There's always 1 or 2 players that have a night against the Kings, and and the Kings basically lock down the other people, but usually 1 or 2 players, and I have a feeling he could potentially be one of those players tonight, since they are kind of soft against that position. So I'll have him primarily pro utility, but I will sprinkle him in the star for the ownership play there.
Nice. Yeah. I'm just a little weary because of the injury. He basically missed about 5 weeks with the surgery that he had on his elbow. And he did play the last 2 games, so my concern, if it is a little bit sore coming back, if maybe he doesn't quite get the minutes or something. I mean, if I knew he was going to get his normal allotment of minutes, then I'd be plugging and playing him for sure.
But at the same time, everybody would be plugging and playing him as well if they knew that. So this is that gamble kind of thing.
Yeah.
So.
But yeah, especially with that tag being there, and I'm sure again he's like a real game time decision. I'm sure that news won't drop until an hour before. So most, especially the casual people out there, will see that, and that will help keep his ownership down. So that is definitely a plus side. And as you mentioned, he's shooting guard, small forward. That's also that can kind of lead over to my second pick, which I was thinking it was going to be OG, but because of the injury part, I'm actually hopping over to Josh Hart. And really, the main reason also is that Josh Hart's minutes over the last 5 games, he's averaging 40, basically 42 minutes a game. Really even over the last like 10 games from what it looks like. So knowing if he's going to even get 35 minutes, as you mentioned, shooting guards, small forwards seem to go off against the Kings. It just is what it is. And with those, I can't ignore those minutes. I know he's 12-5, but his upside, he did hit 63 fantasy points against Philadelphia. He hit 61 against Cleveland. He hit 52 against Golden State. So with that type of upside, I'll be mainly playing him at the star. I'll probably put him in like 2 lineups at MVP, but that's just to be contrarian and because I'm going to be doing about 30 lineups. And then I'll also be mixing him in at the pro. I won't be going with him at utility in the lineups I do have him in. And yeah, what are your thoughts there on Mr. Josh Hart?
Yeah, no, I like his play. Basketball, NBA, DFS, minutes and usage. And clearly he has the minutes. He's averaging 41.8 minutes in the last 5 games. That's insane to be able to maintain that. Obviously hoping he does do that again against the Kings. It'd be nice to get another 40 minute out of him. His usage is a little lower. I believe it's 16.3 in the last 5. It's decent, but obviously, like I said, I like to see it, low 20, in the 20s at least. But yeah, I think that also could have to do with also them being, a slower paced team and things like that. But yeah, minute wise, he's good. 12-5. Yeah, that definitely kind of hurts him a little bit because it's like at 12-5, it's like I kind of need you to put up star numbers, but at the same time, if I put you in the pro,
and what's tough is that the next guy up is De'Aaron Fox.
Yeah,
and there's a pretty big gap there between
yeah.
Well,
but no, I definitely will have him in my lineups for sure. So it's going to be based on the lineup construction that I'm doing and how I see it. Like, if am I fading Fox, and dropping to say the 1500 there, maybe throw him in, things like that, or like you said, with the minute consistency. Throw him over Brunson and you can get a decent sized chunk saving 2K there, and then you can fill out your lineup and potentially make up some points elsewhere and ownership play for sure. Because but other than that, who you got as your third one you're rolling with tonight? Or
so surprisingly, I'm going with another New York Knick, and a big reason for this is that pace differential. The Kings love to get out and run, and with the Knicks being more of a slower paced team, that is going to have the Knicks score more fantasy points than usual is kind of the theory, and that the Kings players will not have quite as many because there's not going to be as many possessions. So my final pick here, I don't want to murder his last name, but his first name is Precious Achua. I know he did play for Toronto before he was traded to the Knicks. He was a great play when he was with Toronto. He is 11K. Even though his minutes have, over the last 5 games, he's averaging about 24 minutes, 25 minutes a game. He averages about a fantasy point a minute. However, bigs against Sacramento, as much as I hate to say it, they do seem to do really well. It's not, Sabonis still gets, three blocks and 2 steals just about every game. So it's not that he's a horrible defender, but somehow, some way, bigs always seem to do well against Sacramento. And so going with a big from New York just seems logical. And, just on March 8th, this dude had 56 fantasy points against Orlando, who is also another top team out there in the East. So he does have that upside. He's 11K, so you're going to want 40 fantasy points from him. So, he is going to be on the border, but I think with this up-paced game and the matchup is great for him. So I'm going with another New York Knick with Mr. Precious. So what are your thoughts on him, and who you got here to close us out with your final pick?
Yeah, no, I on the fence with him. I like him. He does have the potential, to be to put up those decent numbers, as like you said, 56, and he has a few mid 40 games, and sitting there. However, he is kind of getting pushed back to out of the starting lineup since OG Anunoby came back, so his minutes did take a hit. As you noticed, the Portland, Philadelphia Anunoby played. He's averaging 22 minutes or so. Let me just get my little freaking thing up here. 24 minutes, averaging 24 minutes. And Hartenstein's got the center. And then I think he did come in for Hartenstein the last matchup against Portland. Bigs against Sacramento, I do like that play, but an 11K player coming off the bench, it kind of hurts me a little bit because, like you mentioned, I need him at least mid 30s, and coming off the bench, he's going to need one of those multiple block games, I have a feeling, in order to get to that thing with the lower minutes. As you can see, when he got the 39 minutes, he had 15 points, 14 rebounds, 4 assists, 5 blocks, 2 steals. So blocks are huge, especially for the bigs if they can get those. That's why Wembe is always up on top. Dude averages like freaking 10 blocks a game. But yeah, that's my only concern is his salary as a bench player. Coming off the bench, he is a great player. But like I said, minutes, usage, and with the minute going down, and if his minutes, if Anunoby does get an extra 3-4 minutes, then his minutes might go down. But at the same time, if Hartenstein gets in foul trouble early, with Sabonis being as aggressive as he does, then Precious would maybe come in more. So it's a gamble. I like it. It's DFS, so you gotta take risks sometimes, but that's gonna be definitely a lineup, the lineup construction and how I put him. It's gonna be, I think, lack of better words, weird. It's gonna be very situational for me, anyways.
It sounds to me like OG Anunoby playing or not a lot, that really changes a lot of the roster construction, because as you mentioned, that completely, like you said, an 11K player coming off the bench isn't really the smartest move. When I did build this lineup that you guys will see for free, I was assuming that OG is not playing. I guess I should have clarified that earlier. I know I think we did. You were assuming he is starting.
Correct.
I actually assuming that he is not going to play this game. So make sure to keep that in mind as you check out the free lineups coming up here. But who do you got here for your final play?
Oh, who's going back to the well? I think I had a pretty good call last game, Mr. Keon Ellis. I think he ended up getting was about 28 points against 27.4 against the Lakers. He wasn't in the optimal, but I think he was a pretty good play. I believe as mentioned before, he will be in he will be in for Kevin Herter at the starter position. I believe, to be honest, those minutes are actually wrong. Yes, he is averaging 20.9. Apologies for the wrong number there. 20.9 minutes. Usage at 16.8. 17.4 he's averaging fantasy points, and he's actually projected 21.1. So with that projection, and that's over a few different places I've looked, I think everybody's on the agreement that he is getting the starting role over Mr. Herter. One, Herter's hurt. He might not even play, and it doesn't seem like he's been doing all that well. And we've seen in the past him getting put, coming off the bench when he's having these down streaks. So Mike Brown had some, good things to say about him. I like him. He's very good on the defensive end. 2 steals in the last 2 games. 2, 1, 4. So he is a good defensive player. It looks like his, offense is, improving. But I think he is going to be a good play this matchup. And he was a little bit better at 7K as a value. He's at 8K now, so I need him to get a little bit more. So hopefully he can maybe break. I mean, obviously 27.4 is good even for 8K, but I would like to see him if I want to have him in the utility spot. I think last optimal was like 33 was the minimum amount in that optimal spot. So I need him to at least hit the 30s for me to feel comfortable with it, and I believe he could. I believe he has a decent matchup. Now.
As even at 8K, that really lets you build a nice lineup for sure. Nice consistent lineup from top to bottom. I really like rookie and even second-year players. I like them at home. They seem to play a lot better at home than on the road. Again, I know the Laker game was at home. Yeah, they're on a little home stretch. He's been doing well again at home. And as you mentioned, I don't really think Herter's going to play, whether it's injury related or not. I think they're going to be like, hey, you're still injured. Let's let Ellis, because Ellis defensively looks a lot better. And the offense seems to be running pretty smoothly. I mean, we just beat Milwaukee and the Lakers. So, it's great play. I'll definitely be having quite a bit of exposure, mainly in the utility. There's too many other guys with higher upside, for the pro and the other spots. But as far as a utility spot, that's definitely a great play.
Yeah, that's what I had. I had him at just basically utility for sure. But with that, let's head over now. If you skipped ahead, here's what you've been waiting for, these free lineups here. And just as we wrap up today's discussion, please don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. It does help us, and both actions are free. Just hitting a little thumb, it does help the channel get put out into more into the YouTube atmosphere, so other people can start consuming and supporting. That would be very nice. And also a bonus to our community here, head over to our shorts section for 2 free prize pick players related to tonight's matchup. Try to give you those plus EV players or the best possible plays on tonight's slate, whether that be one player from each team or 2 of the same team. It's our way to say thank you. So with that, hope you guys enjoyed this breakdown. This is our fourth video of the week, I believe, and so just looking out to get more content out to you guys and help potentially hopefully one of these free lineups it makes the money and that we can all be seen up there on the leaderboard. So with that, please again like, subscribe, notifications. We do post any breaking news in the comment section. So with that, hope to see you on the leaderboard again in that top spot. David?
Yes, sir. Hey, either way, however we finish tomorrow, we will have finished at least 50% at taking first place. How does that feel? I think that feels pretty dang good. So Yeah, looking forward to going to the game tomorrow. You guys make sure to put down in the comments who you got as your top play. Obviously, as you know, the Kings players, I see Malik Monk here at 11.5. I mean, he's been balling, but 11.5 is getting a little expensive. You know, he does have high upside, so that is another player to definitely be watching out for tomorrow. And yeah, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button, and we will see you next week. Good luck.